everybody, this is Jonathan Moore with the Hometown Historian channel. We are here at the Cornwall Iron Furnace. We're doing a video for the Villages of Cornwall. I said I wanted to stop by here at some point and do a walk around of this estate. This was started in built in 1742. Now whether these exact buildings are as old as 1742, I'm not really sure. But we've visited several iron furnaces in the past. We visited the Swatera Iron Furnace, which is out near Pine Grove, Suburg, and Outwood. And we visited the Manada Gap Iron Furnace, which is out there in the town of Manada Gap near Grantville. And those are the old style iron furnaces where it was sort of a stone built up and they had sort of that triangular opening, and sometimes they have one on the side as well, depending on the size of the actual iron furnace. And this is not that. This is newer, because around the 1850s technology had changed and the iron furnaces become more industrialized, if you will. And very, very neat place here. This is one of those few iron furnaces that remains that has been historically preserved. I believe the Grubb family owned it till like 1798, and then Robert Coleman wound up buying all the shares in the iron furnace itself, the Cornwall Iron Furnace. He bought, I think, 5-6 shares of the actual iron ore mining, because this wasn't just an iron furnace. This was primarily as well was a iron ore mining operation as well, and quite extensive operation. I believe it was the largest east of the Great Lakes region, like Lake Superior, that type of area. So it was a big operation here. And as we do some of the other towns like Anthracite, Burg Coleman, North Cornwall, I believe it's Anthracite and North Cornwall both, I have pictures of the old industrial iron furnaces. So it was a more industrial feel. This has an older feel than those. So I mean, how old these buildings are exactly, I'm not sure, but we're standing in front of, which I'll flip the camera around here shortly, we're standing in front of the charcoal barn. I believe this was used to, I believe it said draw sulfur out. We'll go over to the one sign and go around the property. There's a bunch of the buildings here, so you can get to see the entire iron furnace establishment here. Pretty cool place as well, worth visiting. I'll tell you at some point, it's Pennsylvania Historical Commission or something like that is who actually runs this, because I believe it was in 1932 one of the granddaughters in the Coleman family wound up presenting this to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to be preserved as a historic site. So it's a beautiful place to come here. Cornwall in general, it's a great place to come and visit all these different really neat villages and towns that we're going through. But this is the highlight here, to be able to come and check this out. So let's turn the camera around and let's go check out some of these different buildings. So once again, this is the charcoal barn, and we will I just wanted to go look over this. There's one little small buildings here, which this one I'm not really sure what that one's for, but you can see the stonework there, and this charcoal barn, which was used to draw like the sulfur out. But this is part of the iron furnace. There's Chuck, of course. Over there, that's the actual iron furnace itself. At some point we'll go inside, because there is like a museum tour, and then we'll go over, there's a sign, there's another sign down below that has information on it. And but it's just, as you can see, it's just a beautiful building. This is so important to our history as a country, because without places like this, Industrial Revolution wouldn't have happened. You know, the revolution itself, I believe they wound out casting, I think, 42 cannons here. So places like this were essential for the war effort. I think there's a guy doing a tour right now, and it has the buildings like number 3 there, and I'm sure they have like a tour listing that tells you exactly what all these buildings are. And take a look at the front here. This is where you go in for like the tours and that type of stuff, and they have like there's a water wheel in there and all that kind of stuff, so it's pretty neat. But we'll go in at some point, not today. My nephew has a graduation party today because he's graduating tomorrow, so. But you can just see like it's this more brown stone. It's a limestone, but over there you see that little building. That was actually a gatehouse at one point when the Colemans had their estate. The stables are still in existence over there, and there's one of them, I believe, whether it was the Iron Masters building or one of them, is pretty much is a mansion to any of us. But that was sort of the gatehouse for the estate. Now, Cornwall Manor, which is a retirement community, they've repurposed those buildings as apartments. Really, really beautiful. Beautiful buildings, and thankfully preserved. And there are a number around here in Cornwall that still exist. Quite a few don't anymore, but down in that stone there is some more information, which we will check out here in a second. And like I said, we'll go around. This is just going to be sort of a quick tour, because at some point I'll ask if it's okay that I can film. There's a guy there and he's explaining everything, like one of the tour guides, and see if they're okay with that, because it's quite neat. This is built in the year 1742 by Peter Grubb, sold by his son to Robert Coleman in 1786. I think he owned it all by 1798, but it started to be sold in 1786 and operated by him and his descendants continuously until 1883, and presented in 1932 to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania by Margaret Coleman Buckingham, great-granddaughter of Robert Coleman. But you can see just the size of the building, and just really, really beautiful building here. But we're going to go back up the steps. And we're here along the actual iron furnace building. We're going to go to this second sign, which actually talks about the different buildings. So there you see, which is this building. Actually, I had that wrong. The furnace building is actually the one over there I was saying was the charcoal barn. This is the charcoal barn, I believe. And there's a blacksmith shop and wagon shop up above, and abattoir, and then we'll go over to the roasting of it next. But yeah, you can pause on some of these things and then read them. They just say about like that they did 42 cannons, large quantities of cannonballs. There's the roasting oven, and these different buildings. So let's go over to the roasting oven. Here you can get a look at the charcoal barn on this. This is where the museum is partly in there, partly in the iron furnace as well. But this here is the roasting oven, which it does look like they sort of closed it off. But this was used for the abattoir, which we'll go up to, is where all the local, like farms people, townspeople would bring their livestock to be butchered. And this is where this roasting, I believe, is, this might be where they did like for the sulfur and stuff like that. So this actually was used to some degree, I believe, for that. What this is exactly with the wall, yeah, sulfur was roasted off the iron ore at this location before it was taken inside for smelting in the blast furnace. So I'm sure this had a purpose, whether it was storing the iron ore or what exactly, I'm not sure, but pretty neat. I like how it almost has like a step type thing up above there. There's the gatehouse down there again. They do have a Pennsylvania historic marker that talks about the Cornwall Iron Furnace. And there's the sign for the Iron Furnace. It's the Historical and Museum Commission of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So here are the two buildings here. One is the wagon shop, the other is the blacksmith shop. So this, I would assume, is probably, this is probably the wagon shop, I would assume, and that's the blacksmith shop over there. But it's just beautiful, beautiful buildings, beautiful stonework. Could be the other way around. I like the little circular window up top there. So we will walk down here to the abattoir. As you see, there is a big building up there as well. I'm not really sure what that was for. I believe that was actually the offices, office building for the Cornwall Furnace operations, and that other building probably had something to do with storage, I would assume. But yeah. I believe I'm pronouncing this correctly. Be the abattoir. So let's shut off here for a second. I like how they have some of the old steps are still in existence here. And this would be the abattoir. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. There's a somewhat French feel to it, but this is where the local townsfolk would have brought their meat, the farmers, their livestock, to be butchered and processed. And you think about it, man, a building like this, how ornate this is. Like, they really spared no expense to just really have beautiful facilities here. I mean, this was definitely, like, the Coleman family was, somebody's happy, but Coleman family just didn't spare expense. They did things well. And I guess it served also as a smokehouse. Very nice. And they have an opening down below as well. Very cool. Alright, well, in closing, I just say, once again, this place is magnificent, and it has such a historical significance. From Industrial Revolution to the families that owned it to what was done during the Revolutionary War. Our country wouldn't be where it is today without places like Cornwall Iron Furnace, which really was, especially as you got into the 1850s when they really expanded with all these different towns like Bird Coleman, Anthracite, North Cornwall. Yeah, without this, our country wouldn't exist in the current form. It wouldn't have expanded so quickly. A lot of hard work went on here. The miners put their hearts and souls into a place like this, and the iron workers as well. And this is truly Americana here at its finest. And to have a place preserved so well like this and taken care of is really a treat to come here. So I encourage you, come check it out. There is, like I said, there's a museum, there's a gift shop, they do tours. If they do charge something for it, it's not very much, and it's well worth it. I just have to check that out, and then I can let you guys know what that is. I can also post the website for Cornwall Iron Furnace, so you can look up some of that information as well and find that. But anyways, with that, the Villages of Cornwall series, I'll say thank you once again for coming along, and hope you're enjoying this series. And we have a bunch more villages to come up, and then at some point we'll do one where we actually do the tour. And as always, I want to say thank you, and we will see you all about town.